Hello, everyone, and welcome to the February Super UTA. I'm your hopefully charming and devilishly funny host, Captain Melissa Boatwright from the 349th Public Affairs Office. If I'm not both of those things, please don't tell me. I don't need that kind of feedback in my life. A couple reminders to get you through this UTA. Number one, I feel like I need music. I feel like I need some sort of it's the remix. Anyway, stay with me. I promise it's possibly not going to get better than this. So reminder, Travis Air Force Base is still in health protection condition Bravo Plus, so HPCon Bravo Plus. What does that really mean for you? A couple things that's important. It means trusted traveler now permitted for base access, and any other approved base passes need to be coordinated through the usual channels. It means you still got to wash your hands, people. You still got to wear face masks. I'll talk more about that in a minute. You still need to be physical distancing, at least 6 feet apart. It also means that we're not chilling together, right? Essential gatherings can occur, but they need to be directed by your unit commander and then approved by public health emergency officers. For those of you who have your COVID vaccination completed, long distance, very COVID-friendly high five. That's like a Willy Wonka ticket, right? Your COVID-19 vaccination record is now as valuable as basically anything else that's in your wallet. So a driver's license or a passport. So take care of it. Maybe even laminate it. Make sure it survives the long haul. And if you've had the opportunity to get that vaccine through your civilian provider, just a reminder, it's voluntary to do so. Vaccinations aren't mandatory from a military perspective. We just want you to bring in that record to your unit so that it can be included in your individual medical readiness profile, so your IMR. It also helps us figure out who needs to get vaccinated, who wants to get vaccinated at this sort of optional phase. As I mentioned, we will talk more about masks. You may have seen, so there's some updated guidance on wearing masks on Air Force property, aka Travis Air Force Base, and all other Air Force properties. But for us, specific to Travis, basically you got to wear your mask like all the time, all the times. If you think, should I be wearing my mask right now? The answer is probably yes. So in accordance with a SECAF memo written on the 16th of February, so literally just a couple of days ago, all individuals performing official duties on behalf of the Air Force from any location other than their home, including those who've been vaccinated, you with the fancy Willy Wonka tickets, you got to wear your mask and you have to maintain your 6 feet of physical distancing. There are a couple of exceptions. So if you have reasonable accommodations because of religious practices, if you have underlying health conditions that prohibit the wear of a mask, you need to have medical documentation from a healthcare provider outlining the condition and the restrictions. When clear or unrestricted visualization of verbal communications is essential to safe and effective operation. So people need to see your lips moving to understand what's happening. A couple other exceptions that I think are probably much more common. One, when you're outside and you're able to properly physical distance, you can go without a mask. P.S. That means when you're indoors, even if you're physical distancing, you should be wearing a mask. I know that hurts. It hurts on the inside, but it's true. As an example, I am in a room by myself with a door talking to all of you, sans mask. As soon as I leave this room and go into the office where other people sit, even if I'm maintaining a 6 feet distance from them, I will wear my mask. And then the last exception is if you're doing PT indoors or outdoors and you're maintaining physical distances. Or if you're indoors, there's some other protection in place, like a plastic wall, if that's necessary. Got it? I know it's not our most favorite thing to talk about, but at this point, we're deep in mask wearing territory. So please mask up as required. A couple other things for you to know. If you get a different kind of golden ticket. But if you get magically selected for a random drug test, the drug demand urinalysis tests are now taking place at the David Grant Medical Center in the radiology clinic. So if you get that golden ticket, you got to head to DGMC in the north entrance. If you're directionally challenged like me, that's the side on the Airbase Parkway side. It's also the side with the flagpole. Really cool news. So the non-extended active duty Airman Commissioning Board will convene in April, on April 10th, 2021. Basically, this is for folks who are enlisted, who would like to become an officer. We're the raddest, prior enlisted over here too. But basically, if you wish to pursue a commission, check your .mil email for a message from our office, the PA office, with details about how to submit your package to the board. Packages need to be submitted no later than March 11th of this year. So time's a ticking. And now, unfortunately, but necessary, onto some really, really serious business and really important topic of a conversation. Because, like, for reals, we want every single member of the wing, your families, and our extended communities to make it through 2021 with us and for many, many years to come. These aren't easy times, so it's even more important that we know how to be good wingmen to ourselves and to one another. I know this is easy to say and it's not always easy to do, but I want to remind you how important creating meaningful connections to one another is through really difficult times, especially when we have the gift of being together in person. So take some time to connect with one another this UTA, check in on folks, have open and honest conversations about how you're working through it. If you're a leader, role model what it looks like to have open, honest conversations about, coping skills and the challenges of sort of living at this point in time in history. Remember, stress is part of our lives. It's a very normal part of our lives. It's even when we're not in a pandemic, even when we're not recovering from, maybe a seeming, really vicious election year or the Capitol attacks early last month. Especially this year, stress is kind of a constant in our lives. But there's sometimes when stress turns to distress and it doesn't become sort of a typical day-to-day type of stress, but that prolonged exposure, especially when we're not, we don't feel grounded, can lead to things like sharp mood changes, depression, anxiety, irritability, agitation, anger, difficulty sleeping, withdrawing from others, those types of things. If any of those things sound familiar, it's okay. It's a normal reaction to kind of what's going on. What's most important is that name it, talk about it, because once we identify those things in our lives, in ourselves or in others, it makes it a lot easier to course correct it. So when you combine things like naming what's happening with other resiliency building skills like time outside or exercising or mindfulness or meditation or a gratitude practice or engaging in creative activities, practicing other resilient skills that you might have, connecting with family and friends or nature, that can be a really powerful piece in course correcting. To include finding a counselor, seeking therapy, talking to somebody who can professionally walk you through what does coping in this difficult time look and sound like for you. If you're struggling, if you see someone else struggling, it is okay to ask if they are thinking about harming themselves or others. If you're struggling, it's okay to tell somebody else, I'm thinking about harming myself or someone else, so that we can work together to all get through this year together. One quick action, if you go to our UTA brief, you'll see some recommendations on what to do if somebody says yes to the answer to those questions is yes. Check out the UTA brief. There's a lot more information. I just will not do it justice in the time that we have allotted for this UTA brief. One quick action, though, that I wanted to make sure we talk about is the really important role of gun locks. when somebody is considering harming themselves and you can create time and space between the thought and the action, that can be a really powerful life-saving moment. And one of the easiest ways to do that if you have guns in the home is through a gun lock. So you can talk to your first sergeant about getting free gun locks if you or somebody you know should have guns in the home. There is a lot more in this UTA brief that I did not talk about, so don't forget to check it out, including meeting dates and times that you may be interested in, like Chiefs group meetings and Airman group meetings and First Sergeant meetings and safety trainings and lots of stuff that you're probably going to need to know, but you don't need to hear me read off dates and times in an email. I mean, really, that sounds terrible. And also training requirements. So until next time, have a safe, productive, kick butt UTA. We'll talk to you later.